Yeah, you are.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself in science.
About myself.
Your role, and how your connection to it.
Well, 23andMe is all about, in some ways, like making everyone a scientist. Like, there's always this debate, like, are you a scientist? Like, you're only a scientist if you have a PhD or a master's. But the reality is, like, everyone can be a scientist.
Yeah.
And, like, you're looking around the world. Like, is it going to rain? Like, why does the door close the way it does? Like, all these questions are, like, about science. Like, everything functions. This microphone, everything functions because of science. And science is so cool. So the idea of 23andMe is, like, get people to understand biology. Like, don't make it some weird esoteric,
like abstract thing.
Like I remember learning about stuff, and you're like thinking of like all these tiny little particles moving around your body.
Millions, billions.
I know.
It's crazy.
Right. So it's much better. It's like, no, make it something that you can relate to.
Yeah. And so, what do you think the importance of like something like this in trying to highlight scientists as the celebrities?
Well, I think the importance here is that. I want more and more people. I want like pop culture to involve real science.
What do you think the challenge is? Why do you think there's a challenge?
I think that there's like one of my passions is I think in some ways it's everyone's fault. So a lot of scientists are not necessarily good at communicating. And sometimes they talk down. Like if you think about doctors, like we wear a white coat, doctors wear a white coat,
like hierarchy.
And they speak in a language that's like not very understandable. So I think part of it is like you kind of need to break it down and have that belief that anyone actually can be a scientist and like make it really like break it down, spend the time.
And stories too. I think that's
stories
what we think about.
Really
Storytelling is so important. It's how you convince people, and I feel like there's even some like intellectual thought that's like the scientific revolution in the Enlightenment was anti-story, because before that we were like, we're the center of the world, and like, and then all of a sudden science comes in and it's like, oh no, actually we're not. But I'm like, we have to figure out like maybe it's more challenging, but we have to figure out how to make stories.
We have to make stories of it. So for instance, like I was just at my kids' school, and they were teaching them again all kinds of different science and and how to design and build. And so they had this project about how could you successfully drop a pumpkin off 2 stories.
Love it.
And they're only 8. And so, like, you had these 8-year-olds who were like you're going to get to drop a pumpkin off a 2nd-story building. I was like, but you want it to not break. Like, that's an amazing science project.
And amazing imaginations, too, that these kids probably have.
Right. So I think that's where it's, like, making science fun, making it something you can relate to. And that's the thing I love the most about 23andMe is, like, all these kids got it. And they're like, oh, it, like, opened my eyes
like
to
now
something.
I'm actually, like, in my history and my context of evolution, really.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming.
You're
like,
so
we were like eyeing you down
chatting
there.
with
Yeah, it was
you.
really nice.
Yeah.
Have a good
Thanks
show.
for talking to the YouTubers.
See ya.